Hello and welcome to the MyVA Dayton Podcast, coming to you from Dayton, Ohio. This is the show where we talk with veterans in the Western Ohio region to share their stories and share what's happening at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I'm Scott Leese, your host, with co-host Greg Tucker. We have with us today a U.S. Navy veteran, Keith Carr. He served as Chief Petty Officer Seabee's, the U.S. Naval Construction Force, during his service to our nation, building and supporting missions throughout the world. Upon retiring, Keith returned to Ohio, where he began working for the Ohio Department of Transportation as a highway technician. While there, he was able to obtain his Bachelor's of Science in Applied Management from Ohio University. In 2022, he was fortunate enough to be offered the position of Executive Director, Veteran Service Officer for Preble County. Keith is also working on earning his master's degree from Ohio University and is scheduled to graduate this May. Welcome to the show, Keith. We're glad to have you here today.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
So before we get to know a little bit more about you, we're going to put you to the test.
Great. See how well I studied.
That's right. There's no study involved here whatsoever. It's time to play Don't Tell Me, I Think I Know That. This is the game where we put our guests to the test of their knowledge of military trivia. It's also a game where our listeners can play along to see if their minds are mired in mounds of military minutia as ours are. Are you ready to take the challenge?
As ready as I'm going to be.
I think you're more than ready. So here's your first question. When were the Seabees formed? Would it be A, World War II, B, the Spanish-American War, C, the American Revolution, or D, the War of 1812?
That one's an easy one. That would be A, the World War II.
That is correct. That's right. On 28 December 1941, Admiral Morial requested authority to commission 3 naval construction battalions. His request was approved on 5 January 1942 by Admiral Nimitz. The first HQ construction company was used to commission the 1st Naval Construction Detachment, which was assigned to Operation Bobcat. They were sent to Bora Bora and are known in Seabee history as the Bobcats. Now, did you know all that?
I didn't know all of it. I knew about Admiral Morale and stuff.
Yeah. So here's your second question. Prior to acquiring the name Seabee, short of Construction Battalion, what were they called? Would it be A, plank holders, D, bulldogs, C, land crews, or D, bobcats?
B, the boondocks.
That's right. In 1930s, Bureau of Yards and Docks, or BUDOCS, began providing for Navy construction battalions, or Seabees, in contingency war plans. In 1941, the Navy and BUDOCS decided to improve project oversight of civilian contractors by creating headquarters construction companies. These companies have 2 officers and 99 enlisted, but would not actually do any real construction themselves. On October 31st, 1941, Rear Admiral Chester Nimitz, Chief of the Bureau of Navigation, authorized the formation of the first headquarters construction company. Recruiting began in November, while boot training began 7 December 1941 at Naval Station Newport. Now, here's your third and final question. What does the Latin phrase contumus batius mean? Would it be A, a rare dish served raw, B, water buffalo, C, we build, we fight, can do, or D, pass the keg, it's liberty time?
Oh, that's, if only it meant D, but no, it's C. We build, we fight, can do.
That's correct. The NFC adopted the motto "Can Do" as the force believed it could do anything it was tasked with. The Seabees boasted of this by actually posting a sign reading, "The difficult we can do now, the impossible takes a little longer." The Seabees' integrity and fortitude have become a legend in naval service, often described as phenomenal. So, Greg, what has Keith won for playing our game today?
For answering all those questions correctly, we have a set of 4 Dayton VA industrial strength chip clips designed by NASA's aerospace engineers to keep your chips crisp on your next stellar space journey or wherever you may be traveling in the near future. All compliments of the Dayton VA.
So we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll hear more from Keith about his military service and civilian career.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I do solemnly swear to bear true faith and allegiance.
To help you when you're in need.
To be considerate and caring, courageous and strong.
To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
For better.
For worse.
In sickness and in health.
To love and cherish.
To be your loving, faithful friend, partner, child, parent, neighbor.
One of our most important commitments is to support our nation's veterans. Learn how you can help a veteran experiencing mental health challenges at maketheconnection.net.
And we're back with U.S. Navy veteran Keith Carr, also a former Seabee. So, Keith, if you could, start off, are you a native of Ohio?
I am not. I'm actually from just east of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a little place called Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Indiana, Pennsylvania, two states at once there. Okay. So how did you end up in Ohio?
Married a woman from Ohio, and we moved back here after I retired.
Retired from the military?
Yes.
How do you like Ohio?
So far, it's been treating me really well. I don't have any complaints. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been able to raise my daughter in a good school and take advantage of Wright Pat Air Force Base and the Dayton VA, and so it's worked out really well for me.
Ohio is the heart of it all. I'm going to go ahead and segue to your military career. Tell us about why the Navy.
Well, whenever I was looking at enlisting, actually, I had no intentions of joining the military, and all the active duty recruiters kept wanting to put me in as undesignated, and that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And the Navy recruiter asked me if I'd ever thought about the reserves, and he recommended I talk to the reserve recruiter, and the reserve recruiter showed up in his OD greens. He was a Vietnam era Seabee, and him and I started talking, and next thing you know, I enlisted in the reserves as a Seabee. And then I enjoyed, whenever I went to boot camp and my A school and everything, I really enjoyed it, and decided that I'd rather be on active duty than doing the reserves. So it took about 9 months after I came back from my A school. I did 9 weekend drills and a 2-week training, and then I got on active duty in February of 1995. And
so tell us this. If you didn't have any interest in joining the military, how did you end up talking to a recruiter to begin with?
I had some friends that were in the Army, and the college in my hometown had an Army ROTC program, so they were trying to push me towards the Army, and I wanted to try something different. So whenever I found out about the Seabees, that was it. That's where I wanted to be.
So the Navy recruiter got you first, and he was a Seabee. What did he tell you about the Seabees that piqued your interest?
Yeah, the fact that they were more on the ground and the construction side. I had an interest in mechanics and everything. So whenever I found out I could be a construction mechanic and everything, that just pretty much sold me as an 18-year-old trying to figure out what I wanted to do whenever I grew up.
Sure. And while you were in the service, what were some of the bases you were stationed at?
I started out stationed in Port Hueneme, California, which is just north of LA. I was in NMCB 40 and got to deploy to Guam and Rota, Spain. And then from there, I transferred to Little Creek Amphibious Base, and then to Dam Neck base there in Virginia Beach. Then I went to Yorktown Weapons Station, and then back to Little Creek.
So all these different deployments that you were on as a Seabee, did you actually partake in any major construction projects or any exciting developments for the Department of Defense and the Department of Navy?
Well, I didn't do a whole lot of construction because being a mechanic, I just made sure the equipment was running and everything. But I was stationed with special warfare for a few years, and during that time I was deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan with those guys. So we were doing more making sure their equipment was up and running and building their different little operating bases and stuff.
Right. And what kind of equipment were you maintaining then?
With those guys, it was more Humvees, Toyotas, some construction as far as forklifts and things like that. And then I also got to work on some 40-foot offshore race boats that they had.
If I can add here, Keith, if you can elaborate a little bit far as to our listeners who may not know exactly the functions of a Seabee, could you clarify that a little bit more of what a Seabee is tasked with? I know it's the can-do spirit and everything, but for any young person or for someone who may not exactly know what a Navy Seabee does.
All right, so the Seabees are the Navy's construction force, and a lot of the battalion duties are to maintain bases or build up bases, maintain airstrips and hospitals and things like that. But the other thing that they do is defend them. So that's where the we build, we fight comes from, because we're not only building these things, but we're also a defensive organization to protect them once they're built. So there's not 7 different jobs that the Seabees have, whether it's construction mechanic like I was, they have heavy equipment operators, they have builders, steel workers, utilities men, construction electricians, and engineering aides. So it's a full construction force. The officers are all civil engineers. So there's that, but we also get assigned out to different organizations as well. Like I was assigned with the explosive ordnance disposal unit to maintain their equipment and keep them moving. Like I said, I was assigned with the special warfare unit to make sure their equipment kept them running so they could go do their job, and once they were done, they could get back. And I also, another duty station I had was with the Maritime Civil Affairs. So in that role, I went to Kenya, and I was stationed in the Horn of Africa, but mainly I was in Kenya working with the State Department, Department of Defense, and local officials. And the goal there was to win the hearts and minds of the Kenyan people and show them that the U.S. military wasn't an occupying force.
So
we were there to help.
So in other words, the Seabees also have humanitarian purposes also, that they may be called to do that type of mission as well.
Correct.
So Keith, tell us if you would, what was probably your most memorable experience while on active duty?
Oh, there's so many. Probably the first time I deployed the contingency operation, I was in Bosnia at the end of the 1 year. We were sent from Rota, Spain into Bosnia to help tear down some bases. And while we were there, we also got the order to help build up some, because the operation was going to last longer than a year. So we were helping tear down some, but we were also moving some of that equipment to different bases. That was a different experience, and I was 21 years old at the time, so it was really an eye-opening event.
So during the course of your career, you've seen a lot of things right there. You had a lot of experiences. So
I did.
all those experiences, Keith, once you reached retirement and you retired from the Navy, you came back to Ohio and you started working for the state, and all of your skills, they were transferred over to your new position. Tell us about that.
So whenever I got out, I had always joked that I was, if nothing else, I could always get out and plow snow.
Okay.
So my plan whenever I retired was to get out, go to Ohio State, or the Ohio State, to get a forestry degree so I could just be out in the woods and enjoy nature. But in the meantime, I got a little bored, so I started applying for jobs. And Ohio Department of Transportation contacted me and offered me a position as a highway technician out working on the interstate and plowing snow and all the wonderful things that they do, which my skills transferred over. So I took that position and put college on the back burner for a little bit. And then once I got into a routine of working at ODOT, I actually went back to school at Ohio University and earned a bachelor's degree in applied management.
All right. One thing that Ohio listeners got to be respectful for, and that is how the roads are here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Keith, we're going to go into we're going to take a break right now. And then once we come back, we're going to go into what you're doing right now as far as helping veterans. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I was in the military. I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now, I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159 to enroll, or visit dayton.va.gov.
And we're back with Navy veteran Keith Carr. Hey, Keith, tell us, you worked for the Ohio Department of Transportation for a while. Why did you leave them, and then what did you do after working for the Department of Transportation?
All right, so after I got my degree from Ohio University, I was looking for a new challenge. And due to some of my disabilities that are service-connected, being out on the interstate in the freezing cold, trying to patch potholes and whatnot, my body didn't move as fast as what my head thought it could. So I started looking for a position that I could be indoors. So I was offered a position with Social Security Administration down in Middletown, and I took that because I really didn't know anything about what the Social Security Administration did other than give out little cards that has a number on it, and everybody is always wanting a number. So I went down and I worked for them for a year, and I found out that Montgomery County was looking for a veteran service officer.
And did you know what a veteran service officer was at that time?
I did. I had talked to a couple, and so I had an idea as to what they did. I didn't know how they did everything, but I knew what they did. And so I applied for that position and was fortunate enough to be selected and start a career as a veteran service officer there in Montgomery County, which was really beneficial to me. One, because I also have a service dog, and so working at ODOT on the highway wasn't really beneficial with having a service dog, and being in Middletown wasn't bad, but I didn't feel like I was really moving up or doing stuff that I wanted to do. So having a position that I got to see veterans every day and work with veterans really was my passion.
Right. And so as you perform that service now, how many veterans come to you looking for information about the PACT Act?
Oh, I've had a lot. Well, about a year ago, I actually moved over. I'm now the executive director and the veteran service officer for Preble County. So I have about 3,000 veterans out here in the county that I try to help out whenever they call or come in. So I get a lot of calls about the PACT Act. I've probably filed close to 50 service claims for conditions related to the PACT Act. A couple of them have actually went through and been awarded, which I always enjoy calling the veterans and letting them know what's going on with their claims, and once they're awarded, letting them know all the benefits that they're now eligible for.
Right, absolutely. Well, we're very thrilled to tell people about the PACT Act. That legislation just went into effect this last fall, and how many veterans? They're saying that this PACT Act is going to affect approximately 6 million veterans, and actually increase not just VHA healthcare, which is what we're here usually talking about, but also all the VA benefits. That there's also pension and survivor benefits and some other things. So really appreciate all that you're doing to help educate veterans in Preble County and beyond about the PACT Act and helping them navigate the process of filing a claim through Veterans Benefit Administration, and hopefully going on to enroll with Veterans Health Administration healthcare. So tell us, if you could, for veterans in Preble County who may not be aware of where your office is and what you can do to assist them, what would you tell them?
That we're right on the main drag in Eaton at 1322 North Barron Street, and we do a lot. We do more than just help with VA claims. We also provide emergency financial assistance. We also have a dental program for people that it's income based. We've worked with some of the local, or 4 out of 5 of the local dentists here to set up that program. We also provide transportation to VA appointments, and we also have worked with other county agencies here, as well as some of the civilian, to find resources. So try to be more than just the things that we do. We also try to help veterans find other resources that are available here in the community.
Right. And for those veterans who are out there in that area, we talk about the Dayton VA. We've got the campus right here in Dayton, but some people may not know that we also have 4 community-based outpatient clinics, one of them being in Richmond near Preble County. And I'm sure that you have very good working relationships with the folks out at the Richmond Seabee as well, right?
We do, and we also have some with Middletown, because Preble County goes down towards Butler County as well.
Absolutely, yes, yes. And so, do you also not help provide transportation for those veterans in that area?
We do. We provide transportation to both of those C-Box as well as to the Dayton VA.
Right, okay.
Okay, Keith, if you could please share with us your experience for being a patient of the Dayton VA. How did you come about becoming a patient at the Dayton VA?
Yeah, so I did a before discharge claim whenever I was getting out. So I actually filed my claim in Virginia Beach, and then whenever I moved up here, I did all my pension exams there at the Dayton VA. So I was able to walk around and see the campus a little bit, and then just over the years, continuously using and learning more and more about the Dayton VA and all the capabilities that there is there. And then being in the role that I'm at, whenever I'm sitting talking to veterans, I'm able to picture and explain to them where to go, who to talk to, things like that. And the importance of actually using the VA, and to utilize the benefits that they've earned.
So your personal experience really transfer over to the veteran that you're helping, because you can speak from experience, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's one of the the best things is not only being able to tell the veteran that they've been awarded a service connection or a pension, but also be able to explain to them the actual health benefits that they're eligible for, and to be able to tell them how to get to the different departments and talk, who to talk to and stuff like that. And a lot of times the veteran will actually come back and sit down with me and tell me about their experiences and how nice it was to be able to walk in and know where to go and not be overwhelmed as they walk in the front door, just not knowing what to do or who to see or things like that. So
now I know I'm sorry for interrupting you there, but I know at the same time where you've helped and you've worked with veterans who have saw the benefits of that and they experienced it for themselves. But I'm quite sure you've probably had some people who were hesitant or a little bit reluctant to, well, why should I go use the VA? I got insurance, or I don't think I want to go there. What would you tell them?
Well, I've had a few clients that tried to use the VA years ago, and they had a bad experience and just gave up on it. So now, whenever I'm able to talk to them, I can tell them my experience and explain the difference between the way it used to be and the way it is now. And a lot of the times they're apt, or they're willing to give it another shot. And then once they do, they come back and let me know that, it's so much better than it used to be. It's, there's...
Now, do you use the automation using My Healthy Vet? Are you using that?
I do.
And what has been your experience? If you were giving a talk to another veteran about that portion of the service, what would you tell them?
Yeah, it all depends on the veteran, because you get some of my clients are real computer savvy and able to navigate and use My Healthy Vet and have no issues with it. Some others are not as computer savvy and they don't want to be.
Absolutely. So, we run across that a lot, that there's a whole range of veterans, not just in age, but in skills as well, and that while the VA is always moving forward, trying to employ new technologies and new services and making things more readily available to veterans, that not everybody is comfortable with when they walk into the building and scanning a QR code to check in for their appointment, or to log into a website to update their prescriptions and order new prescriptions, or to do a video appointment. While all those wonderful technologies are there for those people who really do enjoy using those technologies and find benefit from it, we still are sensitive to the fact that there are a lot of folks who don't have those skill sets and aren't ready to employ those technologies. So we do try to accommodate for everyone, but at the same time we are trying to always move forward and provide whatever the best possible care would be for our veterans. And, I have to actually go back a little bit in our conversation. You were talking about how when you left the military, you actually had filed a claim on departing the military, and that there are a lot of veterans out there, and I'm sure you run across this as a VSO all the time, that there are veterans who didn't file that claim when they left the military. They didn't think they needed to, and I have to admit that I was one of those, because I walked in office, the worst thing I ever got was a paper cut. I didn't have hearing loss, or I didn't have any injury from combat or anything of that nature, and did not file for a disability claim. So what do you tell those veterans who kind of missed that opportunity? Do you go back and explain to them that it's always worth exploring that, because everybody who has had some kind of military experience has some eligibility through the VA for certainly through the healthcare portion of it, though you might have to pay a copay, or you still have to go through that eligibility process. But quite often, almost every military person has some level of eligibility. Do you have that conversation with a lot of folks, or do you find that a challenge that a lot of folks aren't even aware of that?
Let them know that, hey, I might not be able to do anything for you, but at least come in and let's take a look. Let's explore, like you said, if it's just the health care side of it. Maybe it's not a service-connected disability or pension, but just getting them enrolled in the VA healthcare side. And I help them fill out the forms and actually get it over to the enrollment desk there at Dayton VA. And usually within an hour or so, we've got a response back from the enrollment desk. They're phenomenal over there.
Right.
And they really, really help out. So I can't speak good enough about them.
And again, that PACT Act is changing the world for a lot of veterans out there, because where they may have been determined to be ineligible before, now they are eligible because they had boots in the ground in certain theaters of operation during certain windows and have presumptive conditions or potential for presumptive conditions. And so I encourage veterans who, even if you've been turned down before, this is an opportunity for you to go back and reinvestigate, just as Keith is talking about. Look at the options, and there might be an opportunity for you to qualify again or be eligible where you weren't before and start receiving those benefits from the VA, whether it is compensation pension or health care, et cetera. So any other words of advice, Keith?
Another thing is, for the spouses, with the PACT Act opened up a window for some spouses that have been denied in the past.
Absolutely. Survivor benefits, yes.
Survivor benefits. So you we don't want to forget about the spouses. I've filed a few spousal claims that the PACT Act has opened up that door for. And the other side is Ohio. We're very fortunate in Ohio because we're the only state that has a veteran service office in every county. So all 88 counties has their own veteran service office.
Absolutely.
And, that's a huge benefit that, I've had veterans from other states call me up, and I can't find a veteran service officer anywhere. And, they're having issues. And here I am in Ohio where we're lucky enough to have an office in every county.
Absolutely.
To help veterans.
It is a great source. It's a great advocacy program for veterans. Hey, we've been talking with Navy veteran Keith Carr. We truly enjoy sharing his story and stories like veterans in the Ohio region. So thanks again for sharing your time with us today, Keith. Hey, I just want to remind all our listeners that the PACT Act legislation signed by President Biden recently went into effect. It is the promise to address comprehensive toxins, which is affecting over 6 million veterans across the nation. We highly encourage everyone to learn more about the PACT Act. You can go to va.gov/PACT to learn about all our areas of operation, all the theaters, all the presumptive conditions that qualify veterans. That website is www.va.gov/PACT. We really do want everyone to know about this and take that opportunity to register.
I was in the military. I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now, I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159 to enroll, or visit dayton.va.gov.
Once again, we want to thank former Seabee and Navy veteran Keith Carr for taking time to tell his story and to share his experience with the Dayton VA Medical Center. We want to say thanks again to our special guests for taking time today to share their story. We truly enjoy hearing stories from veterans from across the region and learning more about how they found care through the Dayton VA Medical Center. And as always, we want to thank our listeners for joining us and remind them, if they are a veteran and are not enrolled, to enroll with the Veterans Health Administration to receive health care benefits through the Dayton VA Medical Center. It's easy and it doesn't cost a thing. You just need to be a veteran. The simplest way to start enrollment is to call our enrollment and eligibility office at 937-268 268-6511, extension 4105. They can schedule an appointment for you to come to the Dayton campus or help make an appointment at one of the surrounding community-based outpatient clinics located at Springfield, Richmond, Lima, and Middletown. Again, that number is 937-268-6511, extension 4105. Veterans may also enroll by visiting www.choose.va.gov/health. While there, you can choose from applying online or by phone or by mail. It's just that simple, really. As I said before, it doesn't cost a thing to apply. So what are you waiting for? Call us today. Or, if you know of a veteran who is not enrolled, have them call to start taking advantage of this benefit. If you're a veteran, it's your VA. Sign up today. Join us again for another episode of MyVA Dayton with the Dayton VA Medical Center. Our episodes drop the 1st and 15th of each month. I'm Scott Leese with your co-host Greg Tucker. Thanks again for listening to MyVA Dayton.